Okay, here we go. Chaf Dalid Amid Alf. There has to be another Gemarah somewhere, Chaver. Come on. Okay, fine. Chaf Dalid Amid Alf. Here we go. So we just finished off. We didn't finish. We're slightly in the middle over here. You don't want to be in the video?
No.
Okay, now you're good. We're in the middle over here of a long sugya. We had, we broke it down into 4 cases just to get everyone's brains back in order over here. We had 4 cases, yeah? Case number 1 is the animal in the sukkah, which is really where we started, which is where we're going to come back to B'siyata D'Shemaya today. Animal as a sukkah wall. Rameir said it's possible. Why did Rameir say it's possible? We had 2 reasons. We had Abaya and we had Rav Zera. Now it's important to remind ourselves of these 2 reasons because we're going to get back to them today. Very good. Abaya says because he might die. Rav Zera says because the animal might run away. We then went on to discussing this issue of the animal dying. We brought down 2 mishnayos which recite to each other, whether a woman is allowed to eat the truma of her husband when her husband is not home. Do we suspect the husband's going to die or not? Abaya answered up that stira. One is Rameir, one is Rav Yehuda. The problem being in backwards fashion, Rameir was not worried about death, whereas the Sukkah Rameir is worried about death. We proved that answer from the brayse of buying wine from the kutim. We answered up, if anyone's following along inside, we answered up in the top of Chavdal Amid Aleph, Eipach, that Rameir is chayish lemisa and Rav Yehuda is not. Good, so we took care of case 1, 2, and 3. Case 4, halokeich yain mibein hakutim, now is a stira back to case 1. Because in the case of buying wine from the kutim, Rameir said you're allowed to drink right away, and in the future you'll take it off, whereas Rameir by us says we're afraid the animal's going to die. So is he afraid for eventualities of death, of barrels breaking or not? Stira in Rameir, very good, in Rav Yehuda. Answers the Gemarah. Rameir says, buy the barrel, give it to a shomer. The watchman could watch him. You can't watch someone from dying. We then went from there and asked, what about Rav Yehuda? We said Rav Yehuda is not a problem because Rav Yehuda doesn't hold of Breira. That is where we're up to. Veloy chayish Rav Yehuda lemisa. We're approximately 20 lines down. The first word on the line is lichishayi baka. There's a dot in all of our Gemaras. They Baruch Hashem threw lots of random dots everywhere. V'loi chayish Rav Yehuda lemisa, asks the Gemarah, is Rav Yehuda really not worried about death like we just suggested? V'atanan, but we learned in a Mishnah in Yuma. Rav Yehuda Imer says, Rav Yehuda, this is talking about before Yom Kippur, they did a whole laundry list of things to make sure one thing, that we had a Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippur. What do you mean? Got to take care of all eventualities. What if Erev Yom Kippur?
His wife died.
Yeah, good. What if he dies? What are we going to do? So we do everything. We have a backup Kohen Gadol and we have a backup wife. We have a backup everything. Yeah, listen. Since then, everyone has been chayish for their whole life. Yeah, anyways. So, hey, we shouldn't admit these things in public, Chavra. No, don't worry, just myself. V'atinan, Rav Yehuda Omer, Af Isha Acheres Misaknin Loi. They would give him another wife. Why? Shema Tamas Ishtai. Maybe his wife's going to die, and then he's going to become apostle to the Avodah. Now, I'm not getting involved in the whole Yom Kippur shmooze, how they dealt with that, etc. What's the question to us? We see that Rav Yehuda is worried for death. Very good. Whereas by us, Rav Yehuda is the Shita that is not worried for death. Answers the Gemarah, as everyone assumes, whenever you have a stira, what do you say? That case is different. Why? I don't know, but something with Yom Kippur, that's different. Answers the Gemarah, just that. But itmar Allah, it was stated on it, meaning we explained over there in Yuma, Amar Rav Huna, Braid Rav Yeshua. Rav Huna says in the name of Rav Yeshua, Ma'alu asu bikapara. It was a special maila, a special advantage, a special elevated status that they made. Asu, they created bikapara for the sake of the kapara. Meaning, really, Rav Yehuda's not worried about death. But when it comes to Yom Kippur, we're going to take care of 99.9999999. Period.
Try to do that to begin with.
What do you mean?
Oh,
good. So this is a question someone asked. I don't remember last week. Someone said a similar. After we go through everything, we said such a simple chiluk. This is a way the Gemarah often goes, is trying to take care of all ways, and at the end of the day we say, Tachlis, okay, let's really understand what's going on, and that's when we get to the Chalukim. Says the Gemarah, Bein leman da'amar shema tamus, Bein leman da'amar shema tivrach. So this is one of those times that, like, if you'd be learning this very slowly in yeshiva, you'd be like, Man da'amar shema tamus, Man da'amar shema tivrach, and you'd go looking back. Oh, very good. So we just chazered the whole blot in 90 seconds. So we understand that these are the two ways of learning the Shita of Rameir. If you were looking back, just to find it, on the previous Amud Aleph, Chav Gimel Amud Aleph, we had the Rameir was Paisal Yehuda was the Machshir. And what was the reason? The reason was is Machlekes Abaya and Rav Zera. The reason was, this is about 10 lines from the wide lines. Abaya Amar Shema Tamos, Rav Zera Amar Shema Tivrach. Those are the two reasons. So now says the Gemarah, Bein Leman Amar Shema Tamos, Abaye. Bein Leman Amar Shema Tivrach, Rav Zera. These are all concerns on what level? D'Oraisa or D'Rabbanan? D'Rabbanan. Let's just understand that. Why is it Rabbanan? Because it sounds like we're afraid the animal's going to run away. That's a rabbinic concern. The animal might die. It sounds like on the biblical level, on the Dorais level, min ha-Torah, it's great. The sukkah is wonderful, but we're worried. Who's the we? The Rabbanan are worried. The animal might die. The animal might run away. So says the Gemarah, midaraisa mechitza malihi. Everyone seemingly agrees that midaraisa, it's a good mechitza. V'Rabbanan hu, and it is the Rabbanan the gazruba. They made a gezerah in it with regard that this animal might die or run away. So what's the problem? Ela me'ata, if that is true. Ela me'ata, now, literally, if that is true right now, li Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Meir. Who's Rabbi Meir? That's the whole opinion that Rav Baya and Rav Zera are explaining. Very good. Rabbi Meir is the one that says that this animal wall is pasal. Titamei, it should be tamei mishom goylel, because of goylel. Now, if anyone remembers, that was one of the cases that we had on the list over here that we sort of read it fast, because we said it's not our sugya. So now that comes back to bite us. But what is goylel? Goylel is the cover for, very good, the cover for the mace, the tombstone. So the question is, if the animal on the Daraisa level is a good wall, D'Rabbanan, they said it's not. So now this is something that we have to just conceptualize outside, and it's very simple. Anytime the Rabbanan created a concern, that's only l'chumra. The Rabbanan can't create a concern l'kula. That's not possible. The Rabbanan, Gaidel is a tombstone. We're going to explain in a minute. We didn't really explain it yet. The Rabbanan could come along and say, this sukkah really minat Torah is good. Midrabbanan, no, it's possible. But can the Rabbanan come along and say something which is midaraisa apostle, but we're going to come along and say it's kosher? You can't do that. You can't fight against the Torah. You can be more machmir than the Torah. You can't be more mekel than the Torah. That's an important insight in life. And maybe that's where a certain sects of Judaism went wrong. You could be more machmir than the Torah. You can't be more mekel than the Torah. So what's the question? The question is from the goylel, from the tombstone. What's the question? The Gemarah speaks out. Alama tenan. That word alama is a tricky one. I still shtickle PTSD from that word. Because if you read it alma, you botch the whole Gemarah. If you read alma, then you don't realize it's a question and it's over. Alama. Why? Because there's a hey at the end. Now, I know what I just said might have been a very stupid symbol, but it's one of those things that if you never speak out, you spend your whole life reading it wrong and always wondering why in the world does Gemarah not make sense? And then you're like, because I got the word wrong. No, maybe article. No, it's just a different word. Alama, lama. Why? Alama tanan. Why do we learn in the Mishnah? Rav Yehuda's mitame mishum goylel. Rav Yehuda says that if the animal is your tombstone, if the animal is covering up your mace, says Rav Yehuda it's tamei, but Rabbi Meir mitaher. 1 second. If according to Rav Meir we just explained that mid'oraisa, an animal is a good wall. What does that mean? It's a good wall. It means it's a good mechitza. If it's a good mechitza, it should be a good covering for your mace. So why would Rameir say mitaher, meaning it's not a cover for your mace? It's a regular wall. There's no difference in this wall. Better be careful. I'm afraid of breaking things these days. Better, there's no difference in this. Some people are saying break it. There's no difference in this wall and an animal. So if that would cover your mace, what would the difference be? Does everyone understand the question? It's slightly intricate, but it's not difficult.
I don't know the case.
What's the din of koilo?
Yeah,
okay, so the din of koilo, good. The din of koilo is very simple. I have a mace. Yeah. It's one of those things. Let's not think toward it. I have a mace. I have a tombstone covering the mace. is that tombstone tamei or tahar? So you would say, well, of course it's tamei. It's covering the mace.
The bottom of it is
It's
not the top.
the whole entity. Once it becomes tamei, it's a slab of wood.
It's like a roof, right? The roof
Yeah.
on top is not.
On top of it, but in itself is the goylel tamei. Is the goylel tamei? If you want, is the goylel tamei?
They're not on top of the tomb.
No.
It's a special din.
Yeah.
It's
Stop.
touching.
That's what I'm saying. If we go very simple, it's very easy. The question is, why is the animal not? Is this a tombstone? Yeah, a tombstone is tamei. Very good. That's why it's simple. Don't get involved in what a tombstone, who a tombstone, why a tombstone. Is it a tombstone? So if we're explaining that on the daraisa level, an animal is a wall, that means it's a tombstone. That means it's a cover. That means it's an entity. The whole point is that if we're learning according to Rameir, it's a regular thing, and it's all dirabanan, it's all rabbinic, the concerns, it might die, it might run away. Okay, that means anything daraisa it has to work for. Great, so let it be a cover, just like a tombstone. Now, why is a tombstone tamei? Don't get involved in that. One day we'll learn Ayah Leisim Hashem, and we'll try to figure that out. But for right now, the question is very simple. The animal should be a tombstone. Why? Just like it's a wall, it's a tombstone, it's the same thing.
And if it is, then it's tamei.
And then if it is, it's tamei. So very good. So why did Rameir say mitahir? Very good. So Ella, this is one of the bigger Ellas in Shas. This Ella now rips out over a blot of Gemarah. This Ella goes all the way back to Rav Zir and Abaya. No, backwards. Ripped off backwards. It goes all the way back. We had a machlekes Rav Zir and Abaya. We had a machlekes. Why does Rameir say the wall of the sukkah is puzzle? This Ella says it's all wrong because of what we just said. So this whole shtickle Torah is out the window. Partially. Let's not think about it too deeply, but partially it's out the window. Because Abaya and Rav Zir were explaining Rameir. So now the Gemara is saying, Ella, I have a new pshat in Rameir. Ella Amar Ravacha Bar Yaakov. A new pshat. Why? So now we have to remember, what's Rameir? That those animal as a wall of your sukkah is possible. So until now we've been oriented with, because either it's going to die, it's going to run away. A new taret. Ella Amar Ravacha Bar Yaakov. Kosava Rav Meir. Kol Mechitza. Sha'oimedes. Beruach Einoi Mitsuya. Says Rameir. No. Ella. No, it's not Mechitza here. Shekol mechitza shemedes beruach. Thank you. I knew something was wrong there. I lost it. There you go. Thank you. Any mechitza that's standing beruach. What does it mean standing beruach? It means it's standing beruach. It means it's standing with wind, not with air. With air more particularly. Right. With air. As the Gemarah is about to say in a moment, you take a balloon. Literally, as the Gemarah is bringing a balloon in 1 second. Primitive balloon. It's called a flask that you blow up with air. But it's going to bring in a balloon. But says the Gemarah, you know why Rameir holds an animal is not a mechitza? Because an animal is not a mechitza.
So it's also midoraisa.
Everything. It's a living entity. A living entity cannot be a mechitza. Period. Why not? Because it's a living entity. Let's go a job further. Are we holding the time? It's a little late. I have another minute and a half of strength left for them. Yeah, we're good. We'll have to eat more in the barbecue. Okay, let's just go a job further because we're smack in the middle right now. That's teretz number 1. Let's just read one more teretz. Ikadi Amri, a second teretz. Amar Vacha Bar Yaakov, Kosavar Ameir Kol Mechitza Sheina Asuya Bidei Adam Eina Mechitza. You know why an animal is not a mechitza? Because it's not a mechitza. Why not? Oh, that's similar. Because it's not made by man. So 2 answers, 2 reasons why the animal is not a mechitza. Either because it's an animal, or because it's not made by man. So inquiring minds are all wondering, so what's the difference? It's the same thing. Very good. My beinayu, this is Gishmak. 2 lines on the bottom. Ika beinayu, to ukma b'noi tafuach. Let's call the balloon in our terminology. One second. But yeah, but it's because I'm filled with air. But it's living. That was a similar. What's I was saying? But ukma b'noi tafuach. That you make a wall out of a noid. A noid is literally a flask, a skin. Tafuach that's blown up with air, which we would call a balloon. You have your bouncy house. Can your bouncy house be your sukkah? Mamish the case over here. Because it's made biruach. It's made with air. With air. Says the Gemarah. Liman da'amar mechitza mudas baruch in a mechitza. According to the man da'amar that says anything that's made out of air, like an animal, is not a mechitza. Harayam evs baruach. Last line of the Amud. It's made with air. But Laman da'amar ein also b'dei adam. Haray also b'dei adam. Very gishmak. So at the end of the day, why does Rameir say an animal is no good? One of 2 reasons. Either because it's not man-made, or because it's filled with air. Beautiful.